The Alpha Dawg, and I've got one exciting broadcast. We're in the Amazon age, folks. People are into instantaneous gratification, home delivery. Has the automobile industry caught up with it? Well, Tesla sort of did. Carvana made a sincere attempt. Varun sort of fizzled. But, but more and more dealers are getting into home delivery, service pickup, and what kind of vehicles are we doing? Are we just driving over to people's house? Well, today from Cottrell Trailers, no, they don't do anything with clothes. No, Cottrell Trailers. I've got Bryan Zink and Bryan House. How you doing, guys?
Danny Zink. Danny Zink and Bryan House.
Danny, tell me about Cottrell Trailers.
So Cottrell is the leading designer and manufacturer of car hauling trailers in North America. We're in our 50th year of business, and our customer base are the people who are moving new and used cars throughout North America. Certainly all of from the OEM factories or railheads to the dealerships, and a lot of used car business. And you mentioned Vroom, you mentioned Carvana, CarMax, anywhere from independent carriers to the large fleets that haul just for the OEMs.
Fantastic. So I think the dealers that are going to be at the NADA convention are more interested in the one and two car deliveries. So how are we accommodating that, Bryan?
So we're accommodating that. We've got a product that we think is right down the alley for the home delivery market. We developed it specifically with that kind of a market in mind, and actually have had quite a bit of success with that. We've built to date, I think, about 2,600 of these products between one and two car. And it's really set up for delivery, not recovery. And we're just excited to be at the show to talk with the dealer base there and see if we've got a fit or if we need to adjust what we're doing a little bit. Excuse us, we have a train going by right now.
That does happen. This is a live broadcast.
Yes, it does.
So one and two car, what is the advantage of a home delivery? What is the advantage of using transport to transport the car? Why don't they just drive it over there?
Well, there's several advantages. When you say just drive it over there, you can certainly do that, and that's being done today. But if you think about it, there's some lost opportunities there, potentially from a revenue standpoint. There's also the aspect of putting miles on the vehicle. I don't know about you, but when I buy a new vehicle, I want it as close to 0 miles as possible. And
Exactly. So you're not putting additional mileage on the vehicle. And is this an independent unit, or is a trailer that tows behind something else?
It's an independent unit. It's a standalone unit, basically a body mounted onto a tractor. And that body is capable of hauling, depending on which version we're talking about, one or two vehicles.
And the customer's vehicle is fastened to the bed using the same strap technology that the OEMs require for new cars. So there's no chains or hooks that are biting into the suspension components. It's the same fabric straps that go over the tires, just like the OEMs mandate for their new cars right now. Same methodology.
Fantastic. Danny, lean into the camera a little more. You're a little out of screen. There you go. So one thing I noticed on your website, and let's get that on the screen right now. One thing I noticed on your website basically was, here it comes. The dealer's logo and advertising can be painted on the side of the unit. It's a rolling billboard.
Correct.
So
painted, actually the technology, it's wrapped with, I guess, a vinyl type of stick-on plastic, so it can be changed quickly. It's inexpensive to do. It comes out with printers, so seasonality, or if you want to update the message as a rolling billboard, it's quite easy to do. This was pioneered. One of our Toyota customers, Beaver Toyota in Cumming, Georgia, they did a beautiful job of their logo. They're quite progressive with their advertising.
Well, I'm well familiar with the Beaver dealerships in Florida and in Georgia, and they are the most progressive dealerships in our area. Linda Beaver is on television every 5 minutes. And,
Right.
they have got one heck of a following in this market. So if anything progressive is being done, Beaver Toyota is doing it. So they're using your product. They're doing the home deliveries. And what about service pickup and service drop off? That's become a lot more popular.
Same concept there. Whether you're a busy executive or a busy housewife, you can just call, have your car picked up, serviced, and returned. Right now, a lot of the dealerships, it's very difficult. The most progressive thing is they have a night drop box, and you've got to get a family member to follow you to the dealership in the middle of the night, put the keys in a key slot, and then not communicate with anybody and hope your car's ready the next day, or you lose a half day sitting in the dealership waiting for your car to be serviced. As executives that travel a lot, it'd be a beautiful thing to say, I'm leaving on Monday, I'll be back on Thursday, my car's in the driveway, go do oil change, tire rotation, and have it back in my driveway. I don't even know it's been serviced by the time I get back, and take an Uber to the airport, and my car's been serviced while I've been out of town.
I do business with Aikens Ford in Winder, Georgia, and they're doing a very similar service. They service my car, they pick it up, they drop it off. The Jim Ellis dealerships are doing that. So a lot of the progressive dealerships are doing what we need to be doing with. And by the way, you guys also work on some of the big transports, don't you?
Absolutely. That's actually kind of how we've made our name in the business, to the point where there's a high probability that the vehicle you're driving today was delivered by a Cottrell trailer. And that's where, if you think about it, most of the dealers, particularly at the NADA, they may not know who Cottrell is, but when they realize what we've done over the last 45 years, they connect the dots, with respect to, oh, that's the equipment that's delivering the cars to our dealerships now, then they'll know who we are. And that's how we've made our living for the last 45 years.
Well, absolutely. This is your first NADA convention, so a lot of dealers are going to get introduced to you. By the way, Cottrell's going to be at booth 6343, the North Hall of the NADA conventions. It's scrolling across your screen. Do me a favor, folks. You're watching this broadcast on the original broadcast or the replay. Share this broadcast. Kick it around social media. We're on 7 channels now, and this is Cottrell. So we're talking about home delivery, home service, drop off, and pickup. I've got Danny Zink. Now, Danny, you're the CEO of the company. Do you found the company?
No, I was hired in 1997. I've been here going on my 27th year. And the company was founded in 1975, 76-ish by Don Cottrell. And then it moved on to his son, Mike Cottrell. Mike Cottrell hired me. Bryan was my first hire about a week after I hired. So Bryan and I have been here for 26 plus years. Prior to that, I worked 16 years, right out of college, 16 years for General Motors in various, I was a manufacturing engineer, so most of the time in the Doorville assembly plant.
One of my Facebook users just posted, using this service is the biggest advantage over the competition. So people are agreeing with you. A lot of people want to do it, and dealers are getting into it. So it's time to start your home delivery, your home drop off, your home pickup. A certain percentage of the customers have gotten the Amazon effect. Tesla has certainly educated the customers. Carvana, Vroom, and regardless. You mentioned CarMax. Is CarMax one of your clients?
Yes, they're actually a larger customer of ours as well. That 2,700 units I mentioned earlier. Good portion of those are for CarMax. Little different animal there with CarMax. They're using predominantly the 2-car unit, and what their main purpose there is for location to location transfers, essentially like a dealer to dealer transfer or sale. But it's from one CarMax location to another. That's where they use the 2-car the most, and that's what we're seeing in general. Is with some exceptions that the 2-car is more for location to location transfers, and then the 1-car be used for the home delivery, the service aspect, and some of those other things.
I could see the 2-car used for wholesale operations, where a lot of independent dealers are listening to this broadcast as well. So if you're an independent dealer and you're making a pickup, this is the way to go. And by the way, this is a total unit. Now, is it a vehicle? Is it a car, a truck?
Yeah, it's basically a truck with a body, and that truck can be anything from an Isuzu all the way up to a Peterbilt. It can be a Ram, it can be a Ford, it can be a Chevy. So long as it's configured properly and has the appropriate gross vehicle weight ratings.
So you're assisting in that too, right?
Yes, and our goal is to basically be able to build on any truck out there that's suitable for the application, and be brand agnostic in that respect. Okay, we don't care what the body or the truck is. It's whatever the customer wants. That's what we want to build on.
Right. So if you're a Chevrolet dealer, you might want to have a Super Duty body,
Correct.
Or Ford, yeah.
So Jim, also the no CDL license required to drive this vehicle. Loaded.
Important piece of information. Say it again.
No CDL is required to drive this. So a properly trained, licensed driver can do the drop-offs and pickups if the dealers elect to do that. This was a big deal for Carvana. Carvana's model, they hired a lot of part-time students, what they call customer advocates, to drop off and deliver high energy, enthusiastic people that represented the company very well. They required no special training other than the basics on how to use the equipment, and the equipment is very simple to use, especially as compared to the big models we do. So that was a have to have for the Carvanas, the Vrooms, and the CarMaxes of the world.
Some of the manufacturers now are requiring franchise dealers to have a home delivery option. I mean,
and we've heard that. So what we've heard how they do it. One, they might do it with a salesman with a chase vehicle. I don't know if you want your salespeople selling. You don't want them.
That is a great point. You don't want your salespeople tied up in non-revenue producing events. That's a lot of time. I bought an Audi from Jim Ellis, and I bought it from Jim Ellis in Marietta, and they delivered it with a chase vehicle.
Right. So who's in the chase vehicle? Probably another salesman.
Exactly.
What car is that chase vehicle? Is it potentially coming out of your inventory, putting more miles on it? So now you've got two salespeople potentially are out of the showroom and putting miles on two cars at once. That's one method we heard. Another method we heard is they may wrecker it. They may drag it to the customer's home, but we think the appearances of that, and we've heard from dealers, they don't want their new cars ever being associated with wreckers, because when you're sitting next to that car, ran the car in a red light, you think there's some kind of problem with it.
Yeah, I live in a fairly upscale community. I found out Bryan's my neighbor,
Right.
and your vehicle showing up on a tow truck wouldn't quite fit the ambiance of the neighborhood.
And I think, again, Carvana set the standard. It's a special day for your family when that new car shows up in your driveway on a delivery vehicle with a high energy uniformed employee that says, here's the final touch. Thank you for your business. Here's the bow on the transaction.
We're going to sell enthusiasm. We're going to sell attitude.
And
You know,
branding.
Yeah.
And branding. You know,
people show up in
a new car being delivered by XYZ dealership, right on the side, a rolling billboard.
So along those lines, Jim, I guess actually two things. We developed this piece of equipment initially, and it was for Carvana, but it really almost doesn't matter who it was developed for. But one of the guidelines they gave us was our typical associate was a 21-year-old female. Okay. And so, we're used to dealing with Class A, car haulers, and a Class A car hauler versus a 21-year-old college female, they couldn't be further apart, right? So we had to make this equipment as easy as possible to use. And so we've actually got some patented designs on this equipment in order to just make it very easy to use. But also, kind of on a personal note, my daughter bought a vehicle online and had it delivered to her house. She sends me a text message, and basically the gist of it was, I'm doing something I never thought I would do in 100 years. And it was buying a vehicle and having it delivered to the house. And so I asked her afterwards, and I said, you think you would do it that way again? She goes, I don't think I'll ever do it any other way. Have it delivered.
It's increasing in numbers. I deal with hundreds of car dealers. On the keyboard or on the telephone or on social media, I speak with more than 100 dealers a month. And this is a big question on everybody's mind. How are we going to get the modalities of delivering the car the way the customer wants to do business?
Mm-hmm. And again, I think it's something you mentioned, the OEMs, some OEMs are mandating it. I don't think a lot of dealers have given enough thought to differentiate and turn this into a positive, as opposed to just a task that just needs to get done. Well, there's ways to get this task done and make it a positive and even a revenue generator, as opposed to just a task to move a car from A to B. You can really differentiate your dealership on a service level with the delivery, but I'm super excited about the service part of it. I think because that's a revenue generator. You talk about an add-on when the car is purchased, you can have a lifetime service contract, free oil changes, free tire changes. We'll come every quarter, we'll pick it up, we'll deliver it, and we'll just roll it right into the price of the upfront price of the car. And my wife just did that with a Mercedes.
Well, Danny, there's one thing I know. I've been in the business 49 years. And I'm going to tell you one thing I know for a fact is that customers will shop all over town, but they will service close to where they live.
Yep.
So the selling dealer oftentimes loses the service business because the customer out of convenience is going to a nearby dealer. They bought the car. Say I bought the car at Jim Ellis in Marietta. I live 40 miles from that dealership. They delivered the car at my house, but I serviced it at Rick Case, which is a lot closer to my home. So if Ellis would have said, hey, we will pick up that vehicle and service it, the 40 miles wouldn't have bothered me.
Right.
Am I making good sense?
Yep.
Absolutely.
And another thing that dealerships are doing on the service side is the whole loaner car business. The reason you need loaner cars, like I said, my wife, she bought a Mercedes in Cumming. She wastes almost a full day to get that free oil change sitting in the dealership while it's serviced. Or she gets a loaner, but she's already 30. We live in Gainesville. She's already 30 miles out of her way. For her to say, I'm having lunch with my girlfriends tomorrow. I don't need my car tomorrow. Come get it, service it, drop it back off. There's no loaner cars needed. There's no coordination needed at all. So then she sweats. I got to get back there because I got to have the loaner car back by tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And it's just so much more efficient. And on the dealership side, I can only imagine the logistics and the money they have tied up in loaner cars and such. Seems like there's a better way to do this.
Yeah, you know, Danny, one thing I teach in my seminars is white glove concierge service.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the dealers are no longer a sales organization. We're a concierge organization. We're getting the information. We're serving the car. You mentioned some of the premier clients in the dealership and in the business. You mentioned Linda Beaver Toyota. You mentioned CarMax. And, you know, no matter how dealers feel about Carvana, they do it right. You know, so this is your first NADA convention. If they stop by the booth, they're going to see both of you.
That's correct.
They're going to see both of us, but more importantly, we're going to have the equipment on display, full-sized.
Okay, I was asking that. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, we can move it. We can operate it. We can demonstrate it. The full time.
I want to see it. I want to see it. I will drop by the booth.
And they can buy it.
Well, I don't have a need, but still. but all in all, let's say I say, hey, Bryan, I want to do business. I want one of these two car haulers. I put in the order. How long does it take? What's the process?
So the process right now, first of all, we do have some units in stock. Okay. But some of that will come back to the chassis that you want to use as a power unit. And some of it could be that, you know, again, if we're dealing with a Ford dealer or Chevy dealer or a Ram dealer, it could be that we want to use one of their chassis. All right. But we have 2 cars readily available. We have some 1 cars readily available. And we also, and I say readily available, completely built. We'll only have the one at the show. But then
wait a minute. Wait, you've got the haulers, the trucks already built.
We do have some. That's correct.
So you got a couple of them, and if a dealer makes a decision, you can deliver one in a very relatively short amount of time.
That is correct. That is correct.
If the dealer needs something not in stock, assuming there's no holdup on the power unit, so if they have a power unit ready to go, we can build and upfit that within 30 days at the longest. I'm saying between 2 weeks and 30 days, and I have a commitment from my VP of manufacturing that we're not going to be the holdup on this. If there's interest, we will get it turned around. Jim, one of our specialties, we do custom work. Our 50 years in the car hauling business, our car haulers are all custom ordered, custom built, and custom specified. We're carrying the same logic here with the 1 and 2 car. These are not mass produced cookie cutter. We've got a ton of experience with working with Carvana, Vroom, CarMax, and several others, but we freely admit there may be some features that are needed to make this more acceptable to the dealership network. A big part of our objective at this show is to get feedback from that dealership group. Hey, this is great, but this not so much. We freely admit we don't know how to run dealerships. We're experts with designing and building car transportation equipment. You don't have to take what we did for Carvana or Vroom. That's just a starting point. If you tell us you need it pink polka dotted, we'll make it pink polka dotted. That's our expertise. And if we've done that for 50 years with the big $150,000 rigs, we certainly can do it on a downsized version like this.
So you can do any size, any application.
Sure.
Because I wanted to ask you, some of the dealers will send a buyer to the auctions, and I saw this on your website. They send a buyer to the auctions, they come back with 10 cars. And they have to send a whole crew of retired guys to drive them back.
Right.
So you could accommodate that as well for one of those larger dealer groups.
And, and Jim, one other thing too, Danny mentioned 30 days, and for your audience, that may seem awful aggressive, but understand the way we're set up here. We are incredibly vertically integrated. Okay, so we make our own components. We make our own decking. We make our own hydraulics. So there's very little on this equipment that we buy on the outside. So we are truly in.
You're not supplier bound, and there's not going to be a supply shortage.
Not for the components we're talking about. Absolutely not.
Jim, let me tell you a little bit about Cottrell. We are located in Gainesville, Georgia. Revenue bumped right about 400 million last year. Got about 1,300 employees.
I didn't charge you enough.
At this one location, we have 1,300 employees, and everything we can is American sourced, other than the things that can no longer be sourced in America. But from, like Bryan says, vertically integrated, from raw material, steel plate, steel coil, steel sheet, aluminum, right to the final product out the door, we do it right here. And we don't do contract manufacturing, because in order to get the turnaround time we need, and in order to control the design and quality, nobody can do it better than we can internally.
Fantastic. And you're going to have the product at the NADA convention.
Absolutely.
That's less than a week away.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Starts on Wednesday. Oh my gosh.
Expo will start a week from Friday.
NADA convention, Las Vegas, North Hall. There's two halls. North Hall, booth 6343. It's on the screen. Now, Bryan, I'm going to ask you a question. I pick up the phone, I dial 866-299-2690. Who do I get?
So you'll get the sales line, and then we have a number of associates who can handle any questions that you have. Typically, we're set up within regions, Northeast, Southeast, and West. But you can also get me, and we would be happy to discuss with anybody who's interested in the product. We would love to talk about it. And if you're in the area, and I realize that's probably be unusual, but particularly for you, Jim, we would love to show you the facility and show you what we're all about.
I would love to know about it, because like I say, I do business with a lot of dealers, so absolutely. So 866-299-2690 on the screen. Now, Bryan, you said something. I'm going to ask you again. Can I ask you personally?
Sure.
And actually can discuss it with you, because a lot of people in the audience feel they know you. They've seen you, they've met you. Yeah, what the heck?
Oh, that's a good thing.
I know Danny's probably on the golf course, so it's going to be you. I often said that the best dealers don't have the lowest handicaps.
Well, I'm a rarity, Jim, in that I came from the engineering environment, so my golf game sucks.
I never learned. I was too busy scratching for other things. I never learned to play. So we're talking about. Now help me with the Cottrell. Cottrell?
Different people say it different ways. I'll defer to the family on how to pronounce it. I've always said Cottrell.
Cottrell Trailers. we're talking about Gainesville, Georgia. They build custom units, but one thing they do is 1 and 2 car trailers for dealers, home delivery, service pickup, service drop off, point to point delivery. You know, we're talking about a number of applications. We're talking about these vehicles are wrapped with your advertising so that when the new vehicle shows up in the customer's driveway, all of their neighbors. You got to remember, most people live in neighborhoods and they got 5 immediate neighbors that can look at their driveway, 1 on either side and 3 across the street. So, what have we not told people, Danny?
Cottrell's been in business going on 50 years. This year, we're putting the bow on our new expansion. So we've been working out of about 400,000 square feet on 110 acres. We just
you're not a shade tree mechanic in a little shop in Gainesville.
No. We just completed an expansion, $166 million expansion, 550,000 more square feet in our backyard. And that comes online this year. The building is essentially complete. This year, first, second quarter is going to be moving in and transitioning the production between the 2 facilities. So by the end of this year, we'll have over 1 million square foot operational and the ability to produce 15 of the large car haulers per day. And who knows how many of
what designates a large car hauler? Tell me what you're talking about.
That's the big Stinger, the head rack on the power unit, the Stinger steer, and the 9, 10, 11 car complete unit.
The rolling parking lots you see going down the road. 80-foot long rolling parking lots.
As when I was a salesman, when I was a manager, I witnessed and supervised the unloading of those things and inspected the units coming off. So I know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And, the other thing I want to stress, this product we're talking about, this concept, the 1 and 2 car concept, that started when we started our relationship with Carvana. Bryan said we've built over 2,400 of these over 6 years. Nobody's having to be the test case for this new product. This product is tried and true and checked out and worked out. So nobody's taking a risk and going to be the first person. It's got a lot of field data and all the bugs are out, and it is a solid piece of equipment.
Fantastic. Bryan, what have we not told people so far?
I think we've hit on most of the high points. Again, we'll be at booth 6343 North. We'll have an opportunity to show you the 1 car piece of equipment there. We'll also have a rolling screen montage, if you will, of how the unit works. We'll have some photos of some of the 2 car equipment. And then Danny touched on our new expansion, which is something we're very proud of. We'll have some video footage of that as well. Big thing for me is I hope it's a learning experience where we can exchange information with the dealers and see if we're on course or see if we need to make some corrections, and just look forward to learning, working with those people, and ultimately fulfilling hopefully the end consumer's needs, which is, we know everybody's wanting this home delivery. It's just a matter of how do you do it, and you get into the bigger ticket items. It raises some questions, but it's already being done, and it's going to be done more. We're talking with one entity right now that is talking about a concept where if you get the order in by noon, you'll have your vehicle delivered to your house by the end of the day on one of our units. I mean, that's big.
So there's not a whole lot of training that goes into this, right?
No. And part of the video footage we'll have going at the show kind of shows how that unit operates, at least for the 1 car. And like I said, it's set up for your typical 21-year-old college student. to operate. And so it's very simple to operate. A little bit of training, but it doesn't take much at all.
Well, one of my dealers, Danny England, just checked in, and he's interested. And everybody watching this broadcast should be interested. You know, I mean, the manufacturers want you to do this. The mandates are coming down. It's the right thing to do, and it's the exciting new wave. Amazon started it. People want instantaneous gratification. They don't want to spend all day shopping at a dealership. They can point and click and have home delivery without ever setting foot in a dealership. They don't even have to show up. You know, and so it gives your dealership an advantage if there's 3 dealerships between your residence and that dealer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that helps promote dealer loyalty, not just brand loyalty.
exactly. I go back to Jim Ellis. Jim Ellis is 40 miles from my house, but they delivered the car to where I live. There's several Audi dealerships in between. So you want the competitive advantage, and you've got the ability with a Cottrell trailer to deliver one or two car delivery. Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
You have the advantage over those 3 dealerships in between the residence, the consumer's residence, and your dealership, because distance no longer matters. They're not shopping the closest dealership. They're shopping the best deal and the best service, the best concierge, the best white glove service.
Jim, the implications for the industry with inventory management is huge. Right now, there's inventory on all the dealerships. That inventory is at risk of hail damage and weather damage and such. It's no wonder the OEMs are interested in this, because the floor planning and the inventory management and the risk, there could be more centralized inventory and less inventory in the pipeline without any diminished service to the end customer.
Absolutely incredible that we've got this service available. You've named some of your clients are some of the premier dealers in the country, not just the Georgia market, the country. So it looks like we've told people everything they need to do except to visit you at the NADA convention.
Yes.
If you're watching this broadcast on a replay, please share this broadcast. Just hit the share button and spread it around social media. We're on 7 channels right now. I think the only thing we need to do right now is wave goodbye to the audience, guys.
Jim, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate you.
Look forward to seeing everybody in Las Vegas.